How old do you think Christopher Reeve was in Superman? He was 24. And how old do you think David Corenswet was in the latest Man of Steel movie? 32. Almost 10 years older than Reeve, yet Reeve almost looks like David's father. How old do you think Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon? 70, maybe 60-something if you're kind? No, he was 49. In this interview, Paul Rudd was 54. Here, Jared Leto was 51, 2 years older than Wilford Brimley in Cocoon. Have you ever wondered why classic actors looked so much older than today's actors? While genetics play a role, there are several scientific and cultural factors that explain this phenomenon. These are factors that we can control to improve not only our appearance, but our quality of life, because we must not forget that in many cases, our appearance, our face is a reflection of our health. First, let's talk about a fundamental factor that all scientists agree on: smoking. In the 1960s, more than 40% of American adults smoked, specifically over half of the men and more than 30% of the women. Many famous actors smoked constantly, which destroys collagen and skin elasticity, accelerating the appearance of wrinkles. Obviously, smoking doesn't just increase wrinkles, which is clearly visible on our faces. It can also cause countless health problems that can end our lives, such as lung cancer. Thanks to the scientific consensus on the harmful effects of smoking, the general population has become aware of the serious consequences of tobacco, and the percentage of the adult population who smokes has dropped drastically, reaching 11% in the US in 2023. As a 2005 cross-sectional study suggests, smoking can also discolor teeth, something that visibly ages our appearance and can make us look older than we really are. Secondly, we have to talk about sun damage. Before the dangers of UV rays were known, sunbathing was a very popular activity. Many actors accumulated significant sun damage, which gave them a tougher, older look. The fashion back in the day was to have the darkest tan possible at any price. Surely you know an older person with an exaggerated amount of wrinkles, with a deep marked tan. Now you know why. If you want to know more about the dangers of exposure to ultraviolet rays on your skin and what you can do to protect yourself from these effects, I've already covered this topic in another video. I'll leave the link in the description. If sun exposure aged the classic actor's skin, there's another key factor that mercilessly added years to the look: their hair. Today, if a movie star starts going bald, there's no drama. They have medical treatments like Minoxidil or finasteride readily available, and there's the option of a hair transplant using very advanced techniques. However, the reality for classic actors was quite different. In the 60s, neither Minoxidil nor finasteride had been approved to treat androgenic alopecia. In fact, we had to wait until 1988 to have the first FDA-approved drug to treat this condition, Minoxidil, and it wasn't until 1997 that the FDA approved the use of finasteride. Therefore, many actors in their 30s had lost a huge amount of hair, and at that time had few options available to improve the hair condition beyond covering the baldness with a hat or an strategic hairstyle.
My fucking hat.
Damn, actually? Oh, shit.
Today, we don't only have generally effective treatments and the option of hair surgery, but we also have truly advanced hair prosthetics that are practically undetectable. Having said that, I think it's best to first try to do everything possible to recover your hair with both treatments and surgery. And if you're unlucky enough to be a lost cause, then we always have the option of hair prosthetics. This is an option used by Jason Alexander, who played George Costanza in the 19th series Seinfeld. To illustrate how much hair defines our age, look at how much a person's appearance can change simply by adding hair where there was none before. Speaking of this, if you're concerned about using finasteride or dutasteride due to potential side effects, I have just released the most comprehensive book on this topic that will clear up any doubts you have and help you make an informed decision. You can find the link in the description. We're done with hair, but not with health, because if there was something noticeably absent from these actors' routines, it was exercise. The modern fitness movement and the creation of the first commercial gyms didn't happen until the 1980s, thanks in part to figures like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Until then, practically no actor exercised regularly. And today, the scientific consensus on the importance of exercise for our health is overwhelming. But not only that, as this 2024 review suggests, exercise can improve the way our skin retains its functions, attenuating facial aging. On the other hand, we have to talk about the fashion and style of classic actors, which was undoubtedly a factor that made them look older than they actually were. The formal clothing these actors wore, such as suits, ties and dresses, and the elaborate hairstyles of the actresses, such as updos and the beehive style, made them look older than they really were. Just look at how different I look depending on my haircut and beard. You could easily think these are two different people. Now we have to talk about alcohol consumption. Currently, alcohol consumption is at historical lows, and most importantly, most people now believe that moderate alcohol consumption is harmful to health. Specifically, in the US, 53% of surveyed adults now believe that moderate alcohol consumption is bad for health, while 37% believe it has no effect. These figures are a radical departure from 2005 data, when only 22% of the population thought moderate drinking was harmful for health, and 51% believed it had no health impact. Another factor we shouldn't overlook is the stress and life experiences of classic actors. Many of the actors of the 60s and 70s grew up during the Great Depression and World War II. These life experiences and chronic stress may have accelerated their aging. As a 2020 study emphasizes, chronic psychological stress is a factor that could accelerate extrinsic aging through epigenetic modifications, which is nothing more than changes in our gene activity. If all of this weren't enough, today many actors resort to surgery and use drugs like tretinoin in order to eliminate and delay the appearance of wrinkles on their faces. Yes, in case you didn't know, tretinoin is one of the most studied treatments to prevent photoaging, the #1 cause of wrinkles. So the next time you watch a classic movie or series, remember that this older appearance wasn't just the passage of time. It was the sum of smoking in every scene, not wearing sunscreen, not having an adequate treatment for baldness, and wearing the most formal clothing possible. Thank goodness today we have the science and the style to change that story, making 40 today look nothing like 40 looked back then. And if you want to know more about the new spray that could be 75% better than oral finasteride, you have to watch this video.